Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch, episode 309.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
Welcome back to another glorious Monday.
I'm so happy today. I want to say congratulations to the Eagles who won the Super Bowl. I know that was a surprise. I'm not a football follower.
We didn't even watch the game.
I'm a 7th-generation Floridian. So I'm a Dolphins fan by it's just legally, I'm supposed to be a Dolphins fan, okay? So we're just really good in Florida at being good sports. We develop good sportsmanship because, what else are you going to do? Because we don't win, right? But what I was thinking about when I woke up this morning, and even for somebody who's just checking to say who won and seeing that surprise, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to take that into the day because the odds were against them, right? It was an upset.
And depending on who you talk to, the odds were against them 2-1 because most people think the officials were in cahoots with Kansas City, which is not true.
But it was interesting to me. So for me, if I'm somebody that can be hard on myself and I can almost count myself out, if your success in keto feels like it is moving at a glacial pace, am I ever going to win back my health? Do not count yourself out.
That's right.
Because even if you think the odds are against you, even if every single person, your doctor, even your partner in life, your extended family are you should not be following. This is not the way to better health.
Right.
Expect the upset that this is something that
is our lifestyle.
You could pull out a win. I like it.
Groovy grapefruit. So good. If you need some electrolytes, use our link down below. Get yourself some salty.
I'm actually still gold knuckling my day today. I freaking love this Keto Brains mug so much. And also,
too small.
Well, I mean, I am still working on my first coffee of the day because it's just been crazy this morning on the farm. But I love the little tag here, change your brain, change your life. What is more of my personal motto than that? That's Keto right. has changed my brain, and that is true. Change your brain, change your life. Yeah. I love that.
Now, before we go on, I do want to say today's video is sponsored by Keto Brick.
Keto Brick.
Keto Brick is having their annual anniversary sale, right?
Well, it is I feel better than
birthday
ever.
Sale.
It is. They've been going for 7 years.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe, right? It's me. I've been going for 7 years, and Keto Brick has been all along for the ride. So they are doing from now until oh my goodness, I wrote the time but not the date. But
it's next week.
It's next week. 15% off all orders if you use our link and then you add the coupon code, the number 7 years yep. at checkout. It's going to get you 15% off your order, and it does stack with if you buy in a bundle. So if you buy obviously you buy more, you save more. Well, it stacks with that 15%.
Yeah, really awesome. Now, if you don't know what Keto Brick is, it's basically a meal bar. Every bar is 1,000 calories. You don't have to eat the whole thing at once. I've been purchasing Keto Brick since they launched.
Yeah.
Back when there was one flavor, and there were 30 available for everybody in the keto community for the month. So literally you would get online and go, okay, I want it. It's going on sale at noon Central Time. Refresh. Oh, gone.
Right.
Got to wait till next month. And you were only able to buy it 1 or 2 bricks.
It's nearly that fast now still, though.
Especially with the new beef tallow.
Right.
But we absolutely love them. Created by Robert Sykes. Really good, clean ingredients. 80% fat. We absolutely love it. I'm so excited to see the way they're continuing to grow. And here's the thing. Keto Brick doesn't do sales.
No.
So they'll do some promotions, win a free MacBook computer or win cold plunge or things like that, but they do not do sales except for once a year. They don't do Black Friday sales or any of that stuff. So if you want to stock up on some Keto Brick, use the link down below along with the code 7 years and get yourself some Keto Bricks. We're going to get into Keto Beyond the Couch. If you are new here, Keto Beyond the Couch is all about our subscribers. We do this every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We do it live whenever possible. I do want to make sure that your sound is good. But yeah. And so the way we're going to do this, we go through all of our questions and things like that, posts from the last week. Last 10 or 15 minutes, we'll get into the live chat. So if you have a question in the chat, hold off till then, or use the super chat function, which is a little $ in the chat window. That does help benefit the channel. But more importantly, it highlights our screen. If you do want to help our channel financially, consider using the link down below and buying us a cup of coffee. I saw Wanda said your hair looks really pretty.
Thank you. I actually, like, y'all knew it was coming, right? Because my hair turned into, thank the Lord, I have hair follicles, but after a certain length, they just turn into flyaways. Like, it is insane to me, like, what happens to my hair when it gets a certain length. So I was looking for someplace yesterday and ended up, because either everything is closed or they couldn't fit me in, hair cuttery. Lord knows I was praying, because sometimes, you know, if you go to a chain, it can be a bad haircut, and it does take a while for my hair to grow. So I was like, oh Lord, bless this woman. And we had such a nice experience. It was such a great opportunity to get to chat with her. I had a good time visiting with her. Haircuts are expensive though.
Yeah.
It still costs like
I know, I spent a fortune.
I know, right? $44 seemed like a lot. I mean, I was thankful for it. I was ready to spend the money, but I was like, I remember taking the kids to hair cuttery, and it was like
I'm
$10.
I'm actually going to tell you, my haircuts cost more money.
You think so?
I absolutely will. Nobody will be able to convince me otherwise. My haircuts cost more money.
Why?
Because I have to shave.
Okay.
Have you seen the price of razors?
It's getting bad.
Right? It's like, you know, like I use like the different cartridge systems. I've used straight razors and stuff, but on your head, be super careful. But when it comes to your, you know, I use like the 5-blade good Gillette ones, and at $6 a cartridge.
Yeah.
So that means that I change the cartridge at least once a week, if not more, because you also use my razor. So I spend like $30 a month on razors. So I think I spend more money on haircuts than you do.
So when we get mad about beef prices, it's like,
everything
costs money.
Everything is relative.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to get back into keto, like, people are talking about egg prices, and yes, egg prices are expensive. We all know that. And we're all complaining about the price of eggs being $5, $6, even $8 a dozen. But nobody thinks twice about spending $2.75 on a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, I mean, if you can get it for that cheap. And my thought is...
But you know what I'm saying? Forget the Starbucks prices, but even $2. $2 for a cup of coffee. Or if you go to a restaurant, have you seen the price of getting a soda in a restaurant now? I mean, I will once in a while get a soda in a restaurant, and they're up to like $4 now. There's no nutritional value in the coffee. There's no nutritional value in the soda or the other things that we purchase. But we're complaining about $5 or $6 a dozen for eggs, which literally bring life.
I feel like this is ultimately going to be such an incredible blessing. And hear me out, because I know that that's hard to hear. But I think about Keto Brick. Keto Brick found a giant obstacle drop in their lap, and that was finding cacao butter. So that was like the cornerstone of their product. And they were like, what the heck are we going to do now when you've got such expensive prices, right? So the pivot for them was beef tallow. And I think it's made a better product.
It's a better product.
I really do. So when you think about egg prices, what is happening? It is causing people to either reach out and find local farmers in their area, whereas they were not doing that due diligence necessarily before, or they're deciding that they are going to have a little backyard chicken flock. We were at the animal auction on Friday night. That place was standing room only to buy chicks and chickens because people are ready to start their own flock.
Now we do need to get into Keto Beyond the Couch. Jen, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Said I booked tickets for the next 2KK cruise. A friend that is supposed to be coming with me has a 7-year-old daughter who is fighting for her life at Children's Hospital in Boston. She got the flu and became septic. I'm so sorry, Jen.
Okay, so I'm going to be putting that on my prayer list.
Jen, give me a call a little later on. We'll talk about stuff. We can figure something out, but we will definitely be praying for your friend's daughter.
Definitely.
So before we get into keto, I just have to, we had a heck of a day the other day.
Oh my Lord.
So we've talked about how our turkeys go walkabout.
Yes.
So now we're in the middle of like, we've got to like emergency finish up our fence where they like to get out because they went on walkabout. Rachel was mowing the lawn, and I think the combination of getting late in the day and then, you know, that loud mower as it's coming up and down, they decided, let's go for a walk away from this. They went down the street.
Right. To a new farm.
To a new farm, like several houses down the street. And we went and found them. I saw them. I was actually leaving, and I saw them right on the other side of the guy's fence, but we don't go in other people's yards.
No.
And listen, y'all, we live in the country.
You don't go in people's yards.
You don't go in people's yards unless you want a butt full of buckshot.
Right.
So I get Rachel, hey, we got to try to get the turkeys, because they'll usually come to her when she calls them. 2 of them were outside the fence, 3 of them were inside, and usually if you can get the 2 to go, the rest will come through and follow. Couldn't get them. They all went in the yard, so I continued on the store. Rachel tried to get them. She couldn't get them.
They followed me, but they would get to a piece of poultry fencing, and they couldn't get through it.
Because they can jump over a fence, but they won't.
They just won't.
But they will go through a fence if they can, and they had a barbed wire fence. Long story short, they stayed there most of the day. So I went and I knocked, the guy wasn't home. I left a note on his door. Hey neighbor, like our turkeys got out. We're so sorry. They're in your yard. Would you mind if we come and get them? So we go to get them, and he was like, no problem, come and get them. Very, very nice guy. First time meeting him.
Yeah.
And I made a comment about the fact that he had 2 baby pigs.
Not the kind we want.
Which I thought were coonies, but they are actually like a breed of hog.
Yeah.
And so I made a comment, oh, we want a cooney pigs. He's like, well, listen, I'll tell you what, I don't really want those 2 babies. My daughter brought them home, but I really want one that is further along because I literally just want to send it to freezer camp, which is all we really want pigs for anyway.
But we were like, no.
And so he's like, I'm going to give you these pigs because I'm so sorry, but I shot and killed one of your turkeys. He was like, I thought it was a wild batch of turkeys that came in my yard and thought free dinner.
Yeah, and we were lucky that he only shot 1. And it's
not his fault.
It is not his fault.
But now we have 2 pigs.
Right.
That we have no idea how to raise.
Yeah. So it was heartbreaking, but at the same time, I totally understood it. Like it was just, we went in his yard. I mean, Joe jokes about all the time, if a deer wanders into our yard, it's dinner. So that our turkeys wandered into their yard. So obviously we were so saddened by this, but thankfully we were able to get the other 4 home. And now they have to have supervised outside
until
time.
we can finish up.
They're in the turkey tractor unless I'm like outside with eyes on them.
And now I'm going to build a bigger run quickly. I'm going to like kind of put a hold on doing some things in the house to build a bigger coop because they're also getting into breeding season, so they need nesting boxes. But yeah, we've had some interesting few days. Let's get into Keto Beyond the Couch. We're going to start off with this post from Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
It's like a little meme thing. It said, this is everything you can do building, you know, like a tower or a castle. Yeah. And then this is everything that you can do today.
Wow. That is so important. First of all, I love the fact that, yeah, you see an outline. You see an outline, and you know, it's colored in. We can go back to our days as a child and remember like, okay, you've got this outline of this desired project, and you can only color what you can color in a session, right? So it's the same thing. It's like you only have what you can do within 24 hours. We spoke about that at the last Keto, or not Orlando Summit, Keto Online Summit, about what you can do in 24 hours. Check out that video. We actually posted it not too long ago so that you can, it's just a good reminder that, yeah, you're going to accomplish big things, big picture things, but it's lived out one day at a time, and you cannot build a castle in a day.
Yep. Next one we have is from Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hallelujah, my taxes are done. One thing I noticed this year was my deductions were significantly lower than last year. So I went to compare this year with last year's. It's the medical.
Oh, wow.
It is not hundreds of thousands of dollars less than last. It's not hundreds, but thousands of dollars less than last year. Wow, Keto Baby. This is why we talk about people who love to come at you with keto's expensive, eating carnivore is expensive, and My argument is, I'm sorry, but even eating keto, if even eating carnivore, even eating grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised poultry is cheaper
Yeah.
in the long run than the standard American diet. It might hurt a little bit more up front.
Sure.
Okay, but in the end, less medication, less doctor bills, all of that stuff. When I think about, I literally tried to add it up at one point and stopped when I got to around $500 a month that we were no longer spending on medications.
Yeah. Well, and I just
And
want
I'm talking about you because you have to factor in over-the-counter meds too.
Sure. And I just want to applaud you, Laura. Thank you for bringing up this topic and this thought because she is feeling it in her taxes. So previously it was a deduction. And I think that even as we get well, we have to be prepared to let go of some things that go along with our identity of being sick. I remember when Joe turned in his like handicapped, parking sticker, there were people that were like, why would you let that go? Why would you get rid of it? And he's like, because that is, first of all, I don't need it anymore. I don't want the burden of that distinction. Yes, there are like a perk of parking closer, but you need to re-identify as this is the blessing. The blessing is not a closer parking space. The blessing is the ability to walk further. And sometimes we have to let go of all the things that we're entangled with. I'm sick. I can't be bothered to come, out. Like, if you were somebody like me and suffered with depression and anxiety for years, it became so much easier and excusable to be like, I'm opting out of things, responsibilities, jobs that I could be going for, all of these things because I am so sick. So when we let go of that distinction, we have the blessing of not being sick, but we also have to let go of even the things like deductions that we would have previously had.
Next one we have is from Sean.
Hey, Sean.
He put this up. It says, I say I'm fine so you believe it. I laugh so you stop asking. I joke so you don't worry. I wake up every day, but not because I want to. The sun rises so I get up. The world moves so I follow. But I am not living, just existing, just passing time. I don't want to die, but I don't want to be here either. But don't misunderstand. I'm not planning to go. I just wouldn't fight to stay.
Wow.
And so Sean said, before keto, this is exactly how I felt. Me too. I was just going through the motions. I didn't want to die, but I actually wasn't living either. I'm so thankful to actually have a passion for life again. Keto Beyond the Couch is more than just about movement and getting outside. It is truly about having a passion for life and living your best life. Embrace each day and do something fun.
Wow, Sean. I am so thankful that you posted this and also that
was my life.
That you are saying this too. I think that we need more men to talk about this, to talk about feelings, to talk about their battle with depression. I mean, you're coming from a generation, I think, like being in your 50s, 60s, 70s, that it's like it's not cool to ever share that you struggled with depression over life or that you just didn't really want to live.
I suffered, like, I've never suffered with depression the way you have and suicidal thoughts and things like that. But I did suffer a lot with depression of just living itself, especially even after we got married.
Yeah.
Because for me, my dad died at 64. My grandfather died in his 60s. My father died of brain cancer. I was morbidly obese. I was in a wheelchair. I was at the point where I was basically told you're going to have to spend the next 2 years on crutches to get a surgery that's only going to last for 10 years, and it was just like, I truly believed that I would not see my 50th or definitely 55th birthday. And so I do now have this zest for life, and that it really is because of keto.
Yeah.
And for me, like, that's like this farm. It's like I've got such wild, broad vision thoughts about what can happen on this farm, and I definitely would not have had that 10 years ago. I mean, I'm like planning out, like I want this livestock and I want to do that, and we want to be self-sustainable. I do want to say, I know we're already long, but I want to recommend a movie.
Yes.
So if you have Angel Studios, if you don't, I highly recommend
It's
it.
good. It's got a nice variety of
But
stuff on it.
there is a movie currently streaming on Angel Studios called The Lunatic Farmer. And it is basically from Joel Salatin. Joel Salatin actually developed like a mobile chicken tractor, which a lot of homesteaders use. It's not the only one, but he really goes through and talks about self-sustainability, and even the fact and the way he does farming, and where you put the cows on pasture, then the chickens follow the cows, then the pigs follow the chickens, and how they have this land that had like no topsoil, and now it's like more than a foot deep.
Right.
All because of the regenerative farming that they do. And he talks about how if, they say we don't have enough farming. And again, stupid me, just the vegan posts keep showing up on my Facebook feed, and I feel the need to respond
Stop
to them.
getting trolled, dude.
When they tell me things like, well, the one that I was commenting on today, talking about how like one steak is equal to like 1,000 flushes on your toilet, and how veganism will save the world and save your health. And it's like, no, what would save the world and the environment truly is regenerative farming.
Yes.
And by the way, without the cows, you can't have good crops. Even if you only want to eat whole food plants, without having cows and chickens and pigs, you can't have that, because that's the problem right now with the vegetables that we're buying in the store. We're buying vegetables that are farmed on nutrient depleted land. There are no nutrients left. And then they're just adding in chemicals. He doesn't use chemicals. He doesn't use pesticides. He doesn't use any of that stuff. And his property thrives. But when you put the cows on, and then the chickens go in and scratch and eat, and then the pigs come in and tear stuff up behind them, and then you can plant on that, and that's how you get all this. And that if all of the farming practices in the United States went to it, we would have more food than we know what to do with.
Yeah.
And we would have a better environment.
One of the most beautiful testimonies of this that I think should resonate with, the vegan population and vegetarian population is the fact that you would have an opportunity, if you watch that movie, to be able to see an ancient form of grass that has been dormant in the earth for a very long time. Like, people have not seen it in the modern age, has suddenly like burst forth on his property. So we talk about things like ancient grains, but it's all just like hypothetical, or you're just calling it that because the ancient grains, we've really made it go extinct, right? Like that those precious seeds have been lost, and most of people thought forever. But he's starting to see on his farm, after a long process of regenerative farming, I mean, you're talking about 30, 40 years of him just doing it consistently like that.
But 30 or 40 years sounds like a long time, but to undo what was there prior, like unfarmable land.
He's seeing grass that you have not seen since
they don't even have a name for it.
Right. You haven't seen it since before since the time of the buffalo, since the time of Native American culture living here. Like, you're talking about pre-colonial grass.
Chris is Cooking Nashville is here.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Welcome. Jennifer said, I was about to recommend that movie to you. Really good. Ask Dr. Bonnie said, are you going to eat your piggies? We have not... First of all, any animal on the farm other than our dog, and even our dog, must serve a purpose.
Right. Okay, I thought you were going to say we're going to eat them.
No, so
like, I'm not
Tabitha has a purpose on the farm.
She has a big purpose.
She has a guard purpose. She has a purpose for a companion to you.
And she's great.
She is a very big protector of the other animals. So, yes, like every animal on our farm will serve a purpose.
Yes.
I even like our two oldest chickens, as they begin to not lay, I probably will not cull them because their job is teaching the other chickens
How to be
how to
chickens.
be chickens and how to
Where
be
to
good
lay.
mamas and that kind of stuff. But pigs and stuff will be eaten. We're trying to decide what to do with these two because these are hogs. They're not regular like Berkshire pigs, though hogs are good. The thing is that we could raise them. I would slaughter them at about 125 pounds, not 250 pounds. Um, and I would want them slaughtered because there's a boy and a girl. I would want it slaughtered before the boy hits puberty, unless I want to go out there and castrate it, which I don't really feel like doing. So we're debating back and forth between selling them at auction in 2 weeks and then getting the pigs that we really want, which are Kuni pigs, or raising them for 3 to 4 months for slaughter to give us the experience of raising pigs because we didn't pay for them anyway.
Right.
So we're going back and forth with that. But for us, any animal on the farm will serve a purpose, whether it be to give us eggs, to give us meat, to raise more birds for us to be able to sell. And if they can't do any of those things, then they gotta go.
Right.
You know, but that is what farming is. In fact, I didn't even get a chance to tell you, I ordered you a really cool Valentine's present. Since Valentine's Day is coming up,
Okay.
I ordered you a great Valentine's Day present. You're going to really appreciate this.
Is it the PVC to make the chicken tractor that I want?
No.
Okay.
I ordered you 1,000 earthworms with an earthworm farm composter, which will be interesting because we don't eat a lot of veggies, so it's going to basically make your fertilizer. So you're going to put your eggshells, cardboard, and coffee grounds in there, and then any grains we can find. And I also ordered you, are you ready for this?
Yes.
These are easy to raise. Worms are to make your compost, but these are easy to raise, but you're going to have to be okay with live squiggly things.
I can.
10,000 live mealworms.
Oh, I'm good with that.
So you're going to put them in a tote, and then the mealworms turn into beetles, and then they lay eggs, and then you can take the full mealworms and feed them to your chickens, but you're going to have to deal with squiggly mealworms.
I think we're really past that.
So happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
You got 10,000 mealworms and 1,000 earthworms.
I am so excited. Like, where are we in this marriage? That I am just like, that does make me like so stinking excited. And another reason why I really want worms is I love cane pole fishing.
Mealworms are better for bait than...
And so
mealworms will just keep reproducing.
I love the fact that you know, again, this is a property for everyone, for, you know, the 2KK family. Ultimately, I hope people will come and visit and they'll stay a while, you know, and go cane pole fishing with me in our pond. I love that.
Next one we have is from Bob and Donna.
Hey, Bob and Donna.
This one was actually for you. Has anybody raised quails? What are the pros and cons of quails? You know all about quail.
I do. Now, Stacy from Easy Peasy Keto raises quail. That is still something that we definitely want to get into. I'm excited about it. We have to provide a habitat for them. So quail are ground animals, and they need like a specific habitat. Yes, you can raise quail, and lots of people do, even in their garage. They take up a very small footprint. You can get stackable cages for them. They're very quiet. So most people, if your homeowners association will not allow for chicken, you could probably raise quail and nobody will even know you have them. It's happening. And also most homeowners associations haven't thought to be like the specific. So they'll specifically call out no chickens, but because they're not thinking about quail, it's something where you can run around the rules because, you know, for quail. But I think that obviously cons are going to be, they're not lovey-dovey birds. They're not going to come sit in your lap. They're definitely a more scared prey. They lay very tiny eggs because, you know, they're quail. And so you need a mess of them in order for you to make an omelet. However, I think that that's a pro as well.
We'll eventually get quail.
Yeah, we definitely would want quail.
Dr. Bonnie said, I get too attached to make everybody a pet. That's Rachel, but she's starting to learn.
I'm starting to learn because there's a part of me too that is like, I want blessings to flow through us to other people. I don't want a closed hand mentality. I really feel like we are blessed to be on this farm, and I want the blessings to flow through us and not get stopped up here, not like get damned where, we're the only ones that are the beneficiaries of what we're doing here on the farm. I want to help teach other people how they can go from being a city mouse like us to being a country mouse like us. I want them to learn self sustainability as well. And so I understand that we have the blessing of being able to hatch out chickens, for instance. And so we can do that. I enjoy tending to little babies, but I also enjoy the joy of passing those babies on to others.
Yeah.
Cynthia
said only you would be excited about worms.
Worms, yes.
John said, wouldn't worm dirt help with growing your mushrooms? Yeah,
sure.
Because again, it's all about like it's literally going to take your kitchen scraps and your cardboard. So you're helping not put stuff out into like garbage dumps, but it's going to take your kitchen scraps, your paper, things like that, and turn it into amazing fertilizer and something called worm juice, which is liquid fertilizer.
Yes.
And so, so we got the one that I bought, I'll put a link in afterwards. The one I bought is called, I think it's like the Worm Box 360 or something. And I got my worms
the
from
Nimbus 2000.
Uncle Jim's Worms. Where I bought them from.
I mean, obviously you're gonna.
But they had a good deal. I was buying 5,000, and then a coupon popped up that for the mealworms, if you bought 5,000, you got 5,000 for free.
What a deal!
That's a great deal. Next one is from Ashley.
Hey, Ashley.
Just curious, has anybody taken the pills from Primal Queen? The ad keeps popping up on my Facebook, and I'm tempted to order. So I've looked at those. I don't like their marketing practice. Their marketing, they're basically, if you don't know what they are literally supposed to be organ capsules. That's really what they are. But they're really only marketing to women. But then when you kind of go down the bottom, it kind of, I'm not against capsules. I mean, obviously the best thing to do would be, as Dr. Berry says, to eat actual liver and organs. Right. Not everybody likes to, neither do we. We mix it all into our ground beef.
Or we eat keto break.
But I don't like some of the marketing practices, because though she talks about how like she tried all these other things and it's almost like it's a miracle pill. But my real problem with them is they're very, very expensive. Like twice the price of a lot of other just like desiccated organ blends.
I think it's really important, again, one thing that I like about...
There's also an ingredient in there that they don't tell you what it is. When you look on the thing and it goes down to and it says other ingredients, there's something there. It's a proprietary thing, but they don't tell you what that is. And that concerns me.
Oh, obviously.
To me, it should be a gel capsule with just dried organs in it. That's all it should be.
I think that it's important for us to look at like big picture stuff. A lot of times we look at, buying something for right now and not looking at maybe having a freeze dryer or having a dehydrator can help us make our own of something. Right? Like instead of saying, hey, I'm going to forever buy at $50 a pop these bottle of pills, I may be able to get a cooking device that is, did our camera just go up?
Here, I'm going to put this one on for right now.
I may be able to buy a tool that's going to allow me to make my own. And I think that is something that we may need to look at as well, or we can find some other way.
Let me change out the battery.
That we can.
Sorry about the image.
We can find some other way in order to make it possible. Whether it is buying a share of beef and then having them put the organ meat right into our ground meat, or if it is freeze drying a liver or
yeah, I'm not against liver capsules. I mean, but I would look more at like ancestral supplements, the one that Dr. Berry talks about. I think they're much cheaper, and again, they don't have some ingredient. Again, if you're going to put something in there, tell me exactly what it is. So I'm not knocking it, but I think that it's expensive, and I don't like their marketing practices. At least when you look at their webpage, it's kind of making it look like this is enough, and I think it's a good add-on. I mean,
Sure.
anytime you're giving yourself some beef organs, like I saw Joanna said, she's using it. She's on her 3rd month. She's gonna see how it goes. I can't do the liver. I mean, that's like Rachel. She just can't do the liver. But using capsules or consuming things that have liver, and if you don't want a bunch of organs, eat eggs.
Yeah, because there's a liver in there.
Yeah. Next one is from Vicky.
Hey Vicky, hi everyone. I'm restarting keto again. Well, welcome back, Vicky. I'm type 2 diabetic and limited on what meds I can take. Seems that I will have whatever side effects is possible from any medication. Last week I had a doctor's appointment where they're pushing an injectable med, Trulicity, only one covered by my insurance. I agreed that I would give it a try, but it was out of stock, thankfully. That gave me time to research reviews, side effects that were very scary to me, knowing that was the next step if I didn't get myself in gear. It was just the kick in the pants that I needed to get honest and strict with myself. I decided to go full in on doing Dr. Westman's page 4 prescription strength keto. I'm 2 days in. All my past attempts have been made on my own. This time, my introverted self is aiming to getting encouragement and being an encouragement to you all. I love that.
Okay, so first of all, the best thing that you could be doing is being in community. It is documented. It is well documented that improved health and weight loss comes from community.
Yep.
So that's number one. And as I've mentioned before, that's why years ago, programs like Weight Watchers and stuff really work, because you were doing it in community. Programs like 12 Steps, that's the way it works, because you're doing it in community. So that's number one. So when you're looking at taking medication, I think that step one, and Dr. Berry has talked about this as well, it's not necessarily against medications like Trulicity and Ozempic and all that.
Sure.
But step one should be cleaning up your diet.
Yeah.
And so I think doing something like Dr. Westman's prescription strength keto is a great place to start. And then after you've done all these other things, if you still need a little bit of help, using things like Ozempic and stuff like that might help. I mean, Dr. Boz has talked about it. And yes, there are side effects to them. I have stated over and over again, I think Ozempic and Wegovy and these GLP-1 medications are miracle drugs when used as intended, and they can really heal a lot of things.
Sure.
The problem is the taking too much of it, and then what happened is they've discovered, you can lose weight when you up the dosage to this. So using those drugs, though, in like a microdosing kind of thing can help. And if you do that, doing it through your doctor is the way to do it. My only thing is I've said, I'm concerned about just people going online and buying it, and you're never under supervision really of a doctor. So when you're going to use it, go through a doctor. But step one, doing Dr. Westman's, prescription strength keto is a great first step. Trying things like carnivore, eliminating all the carbs. I think too many people outside of keto look at these drugs, and many doctors is, this is the easy way. You can go the easy way or the hard way.
I can eat whatever and just not change my lifestyle.
I've known so many people that went on those medications and then continued to eat Oreo cookies. Well, that's not fixing the problem.
Well, and we continue
it's
to
masking it.
Well, and even though they have created medicines where, yes, you don't have to change your lifestyle, you can still eke out an existence, keeping things the same. It's not helping the situation, really. I mean, look how many more people are getting diagnosed with type 2 diabetes year after year after year. So, like, the expansion of big pharma to kind of cover up bad practices with more medicine it's not changing the situation.
Well, it's like diabetes medications. Is there a place for them? Yes. But step one should be cleaning up your diet and eliminating all the sugar in every food that you eat that turns into sugar. And then, if you have problems, look at the medication. Instead of medication being the first step, it should be the last resort.
Right.
Next one is from Nanny.
Hey, Nanny K.
Nanny said, hello. Now that I'm retired, I'm considering hosting a small meetup of 10 people or less at my home sometime in the spring or summer.
Yes.
I'm on a tight budget with only my income, and I thought it'd be nice to just have anyone interested to bring their own specialty desk.
I love it.
I'm on MDPADE line on the Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware line, and there doesn't seem to be many keto carnivore folks in the area. You'd be surprised.
Yes.
Let me know if anyone may be interested. That's why I put it in here. So doing it at Mighty Network's perfect. I know there are a lot of people in the Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware area. You have Juliana
Yes.
is in that area.
So make sure, like, you guys are reading this, go into Mighty Networks, message back Nanny K, like, who posted this, and let them know that you're interested.
Meetups don't have to be at restaurants or meeting halls or anything like that.
No.
Having something just getting together in your house is perfect.
It's perfect. In fact, like, I'm trying to practice what I preach over here. So on Tuesday, February 11th.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Beginning at 11 a.m. I'm going to be in Disney Springs because that is only an hour and a half from my house. And I'm just going to meet up so we can, like, get together. There's not even necessarily food involved. It's just we're walking around shopping, visiting, catching up on life. If somebody's got questions or they, concerns, they can talk to me in person. I just think it's very important for us to do life together, and not just in a bumper sticker rhetoric, but in an actual tangible way.
Yep. Next one is from Nancy.
Hey, Nancy, Randy and Beth, we're having trouble asking a question in Mighty Network, so I'm going to try to post this for them, hoping Joe can explain what he needs to do. What I need to know is Randy makes his own yogurt and has been for several years now, or at least 2 years, no problem. We now have a new Instant Pot, and I don't know if this thing has anything to do with it or not. He made the yogurt twice, and both times it came out with little tiny lumps all through it and has more whey in it than normal, and he said the taste isn't the way it should be. And I'm wanting to ask somebody if they have any idea what we could do or what we could be doing wrong. Yogurt temperature is at 111 and it cooks it for 10 to 12 hours and the same both times, and we're making it with Joe's recipe the same way we've done it for 2 years with never any problem.
It's going to be two things. Either A, you have a bad batch of cultures. So if you're using, if you use the same exact batch of cultures, like the same yogurt, it's either that, or B, and this is probably the situation, something's wrong with that Instant Pot and it's not maintaining the temperature properly. So because what's happening is your cultures are having a hard time multiplying and making your yogurt. And so, like if you have inconsistent temperatures, then that is going to lead to having more whey and it being clumpy because you're not getting that going right. I actually experienced this at my mom's house when we were up there last year, and we made her some yogurt, and I'm like, I had to run it for over 24 hours and couldn't figure out what it was. It's her Instant Pot. Her Instant Pot was very old. I always recommend find an Instant Pot that has a yogurt button. If you're still under a return period, I would go return it and get a new one. But I have a feeling that is the case, especially if you use two different batches of cultures. Like you went to the store, you bought some Vahi yogurt, and then when you made it again, you used a different batch. If you use it two different ones and you had the same result, it's something is wrong with the Instant Pot. And if you don't know, if you're new here, we have a couple of videos on how to make yogurt.
It's delicious.
It's actually even simpler than what's in those videos now because we discovered yogurt strainers. But if you want to make the best yogurt that is the lowest in carbs you're ever going to have, we're talking about less than 1 carb per serving, all you literally need to do is go to the store and buy Fairlife milk because it's got 50% less sugar. You put that in an Instant Pot with 1 or 2 spoons of like a live culture yogurt, like Fahe or something like that. Put 1 or 2 spoons in there, whisk it around, hit the yogurt button. 8 hours later, you've got yogurt. That's all it is, and then you strain out the whey.
You pour it into a strainer.
In a strainer, because that is where all of the carbs are, and you have like less than 1 carb yogurt, and it is delicious.
And it serves as a base for a lot of things. Like we use it as a replacement for sour cream. You can use it as a base for dressings if you want to make your own like ranch or Caesar dressing. You can just use that and then mix in whatever ranch seasonings that you want to make the dressing.
Next one is from Demarius.
Hey, Demarius.
A non-scale victory for me today. My daughter has continued to follow the keto diet and is having success. She sent her progress pictures and she looks great. Most of all, she's feeling great, and it's helping her with her PCOS symptoms.
Oh, that's good.
I'm hoping it will help her with fertility. They start IVF this coming month. I hope her health transformation makes me a grandma.
How beautiful. And
I know it made you a grandma.
It did make me a grandma. And here's the thing. Again, I'm sensing like there's a trend here. we need to do what is possible for us as believers. We have faith in the Lord, and he is the I am, right? So there's some things that are I am impossible, right? But we can bring what is possible to do. So if we want a miracle in our health, yes, we are praying for it, we are wanting it, we are desiring it, we're hoping for it, but don't just let it be a wishing well faith for better things. Let it be, what can we do? What can we do to influence the outcome so that we can say, we're bringing our best to this project. And it begins with what we eat, where we're eating like we want the desired outcome. If we say, well, I wish I felt better, if you start eating toward feeling better and we're not making our diet largely junk, then we're doing our best to make it a possibility.
Oh my gosh, we have 15 minutes left and we still have 10 comments. Next one's from Tina.
Hey, Tina.
Said, sometimes I have to remind myself, wherever you find yourself today, take a moment to pause, take a deep breath, and choose to celebrate where you are and how far you've come.
I love it. Perfect.
That is awesome. Next one's from Fran.
Hey, Fran.
I'm new here and I need help keeping my sugar numbers down.
Meat for the win.
Which is the title of today's thing. How do we lower our glucose on keto? Step 1, eliminate all sugar out of your diet.
All of it.
Eliminate anything that easily turns into sugar. I'm not going to say everything that turns into sugar, because even meat can turn into sugar. Anything that can easily turn into sugar. What is that? Pasta, grains, starches, rice, all of that stuff. Eliminate all that out of your diet. So that's step 1, especially if you're new to keto. There is something called glucose sparing. It generally will happen in people who've been doing keto for a while, like a year or more, who are following a true strict keto carnivore diet. Okay? And what happens is when you turn keto, your muscles, which generally store a lot of glucose, aren't doing that anymore. So your muscles end up really no longer preferring glucose like they did when you were eating a standard American diet. Now they want those fatty acids. And so what happens is sometimes people end up with an elevated glucose even though they've been doing keto for a while, especially if they have a little bit of a cheat. So if you've been doing keto for a while and you have a cheat day, if you were to go and check your glucose numbers, they will skyrocket higher than somebody who is not on a keto diet eating the same exact food.
Right.
And that is because you've now become sensitive to glucose. It's not a bad thing. It's nothing to worry about. It just means that your glucose will go up very quickly and sometimes higher than somebody who is not on keto. But it also comes back to normal quicker because you've now become glucose sensitive. The other thing that can cause you to have higher glucose on keto is high cortisol, lack of sleep, stress, getting sick, and eating a high protein, low fat ketogenic diet. Because when you're eating high protein and eating low fat, you're giving your body protein. Your body can take that protein and turn it into glucose, and your body does need glucose. Your organs does need glucose. They do need that glucose, but they only need a little tiny bit, and your body can create it. But when you're not consuming enough fat, which is the preferred fuel in the absence of carbohydrates, your body will create that glucose because it feels it doesn't have enough fat for fuel. So making sure you're eating at least 50% of your calories in your diet should be fat. So when you're looking at nutrition-wise, and I'm not big into calories, but you should be at least eating at least 1 gram of fat for every gram of protein. So if you look at a nutrition label, it should be 1 to 1. If it's higher in protein than fat, add fat somewhere else. So like if you're eating chicken breast, make sure you're adding some good healthy animal fats to that, because chicken breast is very high in protein but very low in fat. Next one is from Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
Where do you buy cacao butter?
Cocoa butter?
Same thing. I've been adding small amounts of 90% dark chocolate to my daily mineral routine along with pumpkin seeds, and I've decided to make my own with allulose, but can't find a cacao butter. Any ideas? I'm in Canada. You should be able to get it on Amazon, but just a warning, cacao butter has skyrocketed in price, which is what has led to Keto Brick having to use beef tallow instead of cacao butter. But you should be able to get it on Amazon and things like Thrive Market and stuff like that. Even I have seen it on Amazon. I've looked on the Canadian Amazon. I actually think it's cheaper on the Canadian Amazon site than it is when you look at the conversion rate for the United States.
Well, that's nice.
Next one is from Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
Do you guys do meal menus with your coaching? Yes and no. Okay, so something that a lot of people do not know. As a health coach, a certified health coach, unless there are a few states that allow this, but most do not. Unless you are an actual licensed nutritionist, we are not allowed to actually do a meal plan for you. But we can guide you in creating your meal plan. We can give you suggestions. But as a health coach in most states, you cannot just say, here's what you eat.
Yeah.
Like, here is a meal plan to eat. Also, everybody is different. So what we do is when we're coaching you, we work together to help you figure out the best things to do and educate you. And again, it'd be really easy. And as I was going through my master health coach training, it was kind of frustrating to me because they're like, no, you don't ever tell somebody what to do. You help them figure out what to do. So if you come to me and say, well, I'll ask you like, hey, what do you want to work on? And most people want me, and they'll say, okay, I want to work on not snacking. And they want me, okay, tell me how to not snack. No, we're going to work through and come up with a plan where you're going to come up with that plan on not how to snack. And I'm going to guide you along, and then we're going to come up with accountability. It's the same thing with a meal plan. Like, we will help you figure out the best thing and design things and how to figure out your macros, because that's what legally you can do. But you don't want somebody to just tell you just eat this, because what happens when that person goes away?
It's like teach a person to fish versus give them a fish. And I think it's important because you may be trying to hire a coach, which is either us or somebody else. And you're like, gosh, I see somebody else, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but you see somebody else that's like basically right at the front saying, hey, I'm going to design the menu for you. And they're breaking the rules. Right? They're breaking the rules. Like, obviously, if I could say, hey, this is what people want, let me just give it to them. It looks like, well, you're the cooler person. I want to go with the person that's just like giving me what I want. Yeah. But like, we're rules followers. And so we do what is within the letter of the law.
I know we have a bunch of one, but I did see this from Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Question: will more fat help offset any offset carbs you eat from like keto chow to help keep your blood sugars low? It depends on the carbs. Certain carbs can be affected by fat. Here's the thing: like the carbs in keto chow are not affecting your glucose at all. The carbs in keto chow are coming from gum acacia. Gum acacia is not utilized by your body as a fuel source. So, yes, it is carbs, but it is not a carb that your body will utilize. It's actually very beneficial to use gum acacia. But as far as like eating an Oreo cookie and then having fat, no, that would be the worst thing that you can do, because again, remember oxidative priority. So if you have oxidative priority, your body will always consume alcohol first for fuel. After alcohol, it'll go to exogenous ketones. It'll use protein for the amino acids. It'll go to carbohydrates, and then to your body fat, your dietary fat, and then your body fat. So if you are consuming carbs like sugar or a bunch of rice, and then you're adding fat to it, your body is going to store that fat because it's got to deal with the carbohydrates first. Your body can really only store about 350 grams of carbohydrates for future use before having to convert things into fat. So one of the worst things you can do is mix carbohydrates with fat. When I'm talking about carbohydrates, I'm talking about carbohydrates that turn into glucose in your blood.
Well, and that is the standard American diet, right? It's mashed potatoes and it's got
gravy.
Butter on it, right? Or it's rice and it's got a butter on it. So like
burger and bread.
Like, you can see why it is not like, do the math. It's very easy that 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's like you mix the carbohydrates and the fat, and you're gonna get what is the visual of the American society for the most part. So it's also the reason why we're gonna encourage you: do not have one foot in keto and one foot in the standard American diet. Do not do the Monday through Friday keto, and then Saturday and Sunday I allow myself to go back to the standard American diet. Why? Because now you have even more of a foothold in both camps. So you're going to be more inclined to, hey, fat is flavor, and so I'm going to add fat, and then you're going to add the carbohydrates to it, and it really is the Bermuda Triangle. It's where people get lost.
Next one is from Karen.
Hey, Karen.
A friend was just diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Her thyroid medicine is over $300 a month, needing suggestions on what to eat and to avoid to help her on her healing journey. I would suggest 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and egg, and eating a carnivore diet, and go check out Nisha. Okay, that's because Nisha has Hashimoto's, and that's how she healed her body. Next one's from Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Triple B&E really did something, and I'm grateful. At the doctor's office looking over my thyroid results, but the scale says I'm 6 pounds less than last time a month ago.
Yay! Had this year. I'm so glad you did, and thank you for feeling compelled to share. I hope that if you are watching this right now, you feel like you have to share what's going on, because everyone is going to be blessed by your experience, right? Like your experience, there's somebody that's going to connect with it. There's somebody going through something that you just got done dealing with. And your experience, and you're fresh from that experience, serves as a blessing to others. We're talking about regenerative farming today, right? So you have one animal go through the land and do their part, and then somebody else comes behind it. So it's like, it's the cow first and it's the chicken after that. So we need people to share their experience so that we can spotlight it, make people aware of it, and help others.
Yep. Next one is from Julie.
Hey, Julie.
Question: I moved to Florida. Terrible water. We were looking in the whole house water filter and a softener system. Is it necessary to add on the reverse osmosis, or is that overkill? Benefits of RO. I think it's overkill. The benefits of RO is it can clean your water, but if you're putting in a whole house water filter, you don't need the RO. More disadvantages to reverse osmosis than advantages. Number one, it does not remove pesticides. It does not kill bacteria. It will strip all of the vitamins, or not the vitamins, but the minerals and salts out of your water. So you're adding a softener system, which is putting salt in the water.
Right.
And then you're going to remove it all with reverse osmosis. So it can, especially on keto, it can minerally deplete your body, because your water is going to want to get those minerals back, and you're now going to drink water that's depleted mineral. It's like, it could also end up being more acidic because it's been stripped of the minerals. And so I think it's overkill. And also, by the way, generally, when you put in a reverse osmosis system, you're only going to put it on like a separate little spigot. It's not going to be your whole house. So the only thing that would be going through there would be your drinking water. Are you cooking in that? A lot of people will, like put one, and we've been guilty of this too. Put one on your sink. Go to the refrigerator, fill up your glass with ice, and then go and use reverse osmosis
for the water that goes on top of the ice.
What was the point? Because the ice didn't go through the reverse osmosis system.
Right.
So I think if you're putting a whole house filter, and you're putting a softener, that is more than enough. That's what we did here. The water here was the worst sulfur egg smell ever. Yeah. The old owners were completely fine with it, as are a lot of people who were born and raised in this area.
We were
not.
Thankfully, we were not.
So we put in
used to it.
That was a big chunk. I mean, you're talking about, it was like 15 to 20% of the renovation money went into a water filter system here. It cost us like $8,000.
But that is what, our organ is our largest body. Our skin is the largest organ, and we drink a lot of water. So I want bathing and drinking water to be an enjoyable experience. So for us, it was worth that investment.
Next one's from Pat.
Hey, Pat, please know that I never doubted that your advice came from a place of love, or that you were not spot on for most people. The doubt I had that I could eat more came 100% from myself and still thinking, even after being keto since 2018, that something must be wrong with me and the standard advice did not apply. Keto did not work for me like magic that first year and a half, and I got to 8 pounds of goal. Then it stopped. In hindsight, now I realize that my body had adapted and started to put on weight because it started to think this famine was not going away anytime soon. I spent almost 4 years trying to keto harder. I tried all kinds of different macro ratios, carnivore, triple B&E, PSMF. None of those were the answer. I now realize that we absolutely must not restrict all of the time.
Yep.
We need to cycle up our calories. I know we hate that word, to send the message to our bodies that we are living in the land of plenty and we are safe. Think about that. I mean, you see that with, no kidding, animals. We see that on the farm. If the animals think that they are not safe or that they are living in scarcity, they will act very differently with each other. Like, they will respond to us very differently than if they feel like they're living in the land of plenty and that they are safe.
Well, we've had people tell us that we raise our chickens wrong because our chickens have unlimited access to food. So I have automatic feeders in their chicken coop that the two things hold about 50 pounds of feed, and I can fill them up like once a week. Rachel's got little feeders all over the farm. Wherever they are, there is food. And then they're also free ranging and foraging. But if you go out there, unless it's Rachel walking out going chick, 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 because they know that means I'm getting mealworms or scrambled eggs. A treat. If you go out there, if I just walk out there right now and start throwing out food, they really don't care. Like, you'll see a couple other come over, but they're not ravenous because they know there's always food available. And they are doing very well. On the other side, you look at the two baby pigs out there, and we've got a vlog coming out this week showing us with them. Because they're on basically goat milk formula right now, and then we're going to start incorporating some, like, pig mash in there,
like 5 days
a cereal. So when you go out there, we're feeding them 3 or 4 times a day. They literally beat each other up to get to that milk.
Even though I've got like two, we've got two, there's 2 of them and they have 2 distinct places where they can get food, because I'm not asking them to share. I am asking them to just enjoy their life, right? But they are living like, I need to get into they want to stand in such a way as to cut off the other one from drinking freely. They live in this like scarcity right now. And it's weird how they eat.
Next one's from Franny.
Hey, Franny.
I'm scared that should something happen to me, a car wreck, that I would be given sugar in some form before my daughter gets me with bacon. I do have legal health directives, and I will put that I want no sugar of any kind in it. I'm filling out an updated one in a few days. Have you heard about a medical community ignoring your wishes regarding the issue? I haven't heard about the medical community disregarding that, although I haven't really seen anybody putting "don't give me sugar." It's more of like a DNR kind of thing. But generally, I know a lot of people in the medical community, and they will abide by those DNRs and stuff. What I would put is, like, don't put just "don't give me sugar." I would put a reason. I would put, like, sugar sensitivity or glucose sensitivity. Like, don't say allergic.
Right.
Because allergic can be proven, but you cannot prove a sensitivity. So it's a little trick. Like, if you go into a restaurant and they say, and like, I have no problem going like, I can't have sugar, I'm allergic to sugar. But some people don't want to say it. I believe I am allergic to sugar because, like, I will, like, have major reactions.
I was going to say, you will see substantive reactions.
You can easily say, I have a sugar sensitivity. I have a grain sensitivity. It cannot be proven. You're not lying. We are all sensitive to that, especially if you've been on keto, and it will cause major issues. So I would put that. On the other side, I'm going to say this, and though we try to live our life without taking as many medications as possible, we try to do everything naturally. We start with food. Like, again, that story about Joel Salatin, and he was talking about, like, we had no money for vet bills. We had no money. We could not afford to go to a vet. Here we're trying to have livestock on a farm. So we don't have money for vets. We don't have money for medications. So what was the best thing to do? And this is what we did with Tabitha when we got her 8 years ago. If we don't have money for the vet bill, what is the best thing to do? Give them the best possible diet they can have.
Control the lifestyle.
And that can help to mitigate some of the medical issues that might come up. And so it's the same thing. That's what we try to do. But if you're in an accident, let them, the sugar's not going to kill you. If you need a little bit of glucose to help revive you, I would not worry about it. And then, once you can get back to being healthy, go back to where you're at. Though I don't want, if I'm in a hospital for an elective surgery, no, I don't want them to give me sugar. I'm going to eat my normal diet. But if you're in an emergency situation, let them heal you with the best possible, means necessary. Next one is from Cynthia. Last one.
Cynthia.
I missed the last couple of weeks of your videos. Watching now makes me happy. I admire both of you for your dedication and success in this way of eating and your commitment to the family and community. Your success and the success of others of this family gives me hope and encouragement that I too will be successful.
Cynthia, thank you so much. And yes, that is what I believe. If you are watching right now and you're like, I am doing this, I am hopeful, but I'm not sure that I believe that I am going to experience success, I want you to anchor your hope to our hope. Like, there's hope here. We know it. We believe it. I know that this is the best way of eating, and this is the sustainable way of eating, and you will ultimately have success when you are getting rid of the junk food, when you are letting go of the standard American diet. I know that this is new. I know that this isn't something that everybody's doing. So you think to yourself, like, I'm out here on my own, like, not knowing if this is going to be sustainable. It is, and you are going to have results when we let go of the sugar and the ultra processed foods, and we go back to really an ancestral form of eating where we are leading with meat and we are eating whole foods. You will see change. Yeah. We'll see change.
Okay, let's get into a few comments. I know we're a little late. Juliana said, D5 infusion is used to provide your body with extra water and carbohydrates, calories from sugar. It is used when a patient is not able to drink enough liquids or when additional fluids. She also said, and diabetics will often get the same treatment. It's a life-saving measure, but not in the normal IV solution. Yeah. She said most of the time you will only get sugar in your IV in major trauma situations. And again, that's what I'm saying. If you're in a trauma situation, you're in a horrible car wreck and they need to throw an IV in there, I would not. First of all, they're not going to have a non-glucose IV with them.
Right.
Okay? And you need that. So let them give it to you.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah. Again, 90%, 80%, that's good enough. Okay? So if you're eating your entire lifestyle less than 20 total carbs and you have a car accident and they need to give you an IV for 5 days, that's still within that 10% margin.
Yeah.
Okay. Carnivore Police, I started keto 8 years ago. In the beginning, I felt amazing. Now I feel like crap. Help. Because I need to know a lot more about what's going on. What are you eating? How much are you eating? How much fat are you eating? I mean, there could be so many things. Are you your name is Carnivore Police?
Are you just trolling us?
Are you carnivore or are you keto?
Right. I don't.
Okay. If you're keto, what does your keto lifestyle look like? Does your keto lifestyle comprised of a lot of like low carb tortilla, low carb bread wraps that you can buy in the store? Is your keto lifestyle mostly meat with a little bit of veggies? Are you consuming seed oils? Because seed oils is not a keto thing. A lot of people think that like you can't be keto and eat seed oils. That is absolutely not true. Seed oils have nothing to do with ketosis and ketogenesis.
Yeah.
Seed oils are just horrible for your body. That's another argument I keep getting into with the vegans. The biggest one I get into them is they keep saying that meat is bad for the planet.
Oh.
That's the one. I'm not leaving that one go. But so we need to know all of those different things. Have you, and Rachel has done this, a lot of people have done this. Have you been under eating for a long time? Have you been keto for 8 years and you have been consistently under eating? And if I'm saying under eating, if you're consistently under eating anything less than 1,700 calories, you're under eating. Okay, so standard American diet, you should be eating women somewhere around 2,000 to 2,200 calories. Men 23 to about 2,600 calories minimum, and then if you're active, eating even more. So if you're consistently just eating a 1,200 calorie, 1,300 calorie a day diet, you're going to end up feeling like crap after a while. You'll lose weight, and then you're going to feel like crap, just like she did. Yeah. Lola said, Rachel, I love how your hair looks today.
Oh, thanks, Lolo. I miss you, girl.
Bonnie said, will this session be posted? Yeah, it stays on our YouTube channel. We don't take it down. John said, I paid $10,000 to get rid of the egg smell that it had. Yes, it was worth it. But we were talking about yesterday the cost of renovation, of this house compared to our old house. Our old house sold for $600,000, and I had to go down there yesterday to pick up a few things from Rachel's mom's house that we didn't have room to bring up, and I saw that they'd already painted the house and stuff, and I'm like, I know that house needed a lot of work.
Sure.
It needed a lot. The whole kitchen had to be gutted. It needed to be painted. There was a lot of work that needed to be done in that house. And I'm looking at, yes, we have put money into here, but again, we talked about it last night. 15-20% of that cost was working on our road and putting in a filtration system. It wasn't even working on the inside of the house, tearing out the kitchen and things like that.
Isn't that always the case with anything you're doing? I mean, even in your, like, and you have to kind of continuously, like, daily kind of prioritize, what is number one? What is number two? Like, eat meat always needs to be like number one, because as you start working on any project, even the project of your health, you feel like another side quest springs up.
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden you're like, well, now that I am on the lookout for better health, you feel like you went from your Rip Van Winkle sleeping on health success, not even noticing any way to help yourself. And then when you start to take notice of better health, now you feel like, oh my goodness, I could be on 20 projects at the same time. I'm trying to get the liver capsules, and I'm trying to supplement this, and I'm trying to do that, and what do I need to have eyes on?
Yep. Bob said, question for the creamy, when would you put in a whole egg or just a yolk? Would it make it smoother? I find it makes it smoother because of the fat. You can do either the whole egg or the yolk. The yolk is what's going to make it creamier. Think about making custard and a lot of like cooked ice creams. They're using a lot of egg yolk, so it's going to make it creamier. The other thing you can also do is get some tarragon, about 1/4 teaspoon per creamy. That will help with that skim of ice.
When you say when to put it in.
And I would put it in just when I mix your keto chow. And then what I would do, okay, so if you're going to put it and make it a creamy, I would mix my keto chow, let it sit for a day. Then I would blend in an egg yolk. It doesn't have to be a day, at least a couple of hours. Put it in the refrigerator, let it sit there for a couple of hours. It's going to taste better. It gets thicker. Then right before you put it in the freezer, blend in an egg. If you're going to use whole eggs, and we will use whole eggs for our keto chow.
Sure.
If you're going to use a whole egg, do not put a whole egg in there and then sit it in the refrigerator for 3 days.
No.
Okay.
Do not do that.
You put that whole egg in there an hour, maybe 2 hours at most before drinking it. So like you can prepare the keto chow, but don't add that egg. If you're asking why would you put a whole egg in there, increasing the fat and increasing the protein.
Sure.
Is why you would do it. And also eggs are delicious and eggs are really good for you. Think about it. Egg has every single vitamin and nutrient that you need in the exact proportion that your body needs it. That's why it is I believe that eggs are like the superfood. Eggs, and then you have eggs, and then you have beef liver and ruminant meat. Those are the superfoods. Spinach, not a superfood. Kale, not a superfood. Eggs, beef liver, and any ruminant meat.
Well, when you talk about, a lot of times when we're talking about keto chow, we're talking about either putting it in the refrigerator or talking about making it into an ice cream, both cold. You can drink keto chow warm. It makes an amazing warm beverage as well. So that's something where you're making it, and then you're like putting an egg into it warm. We will drink coffee.
I miss my creamies.
With an egg in it. So like you can have a keto chow and add an egg to it and drink it warm. Yep. And it's delicious. It's going to add a lot of creaminess to it. It adds froth to it. It's like a really pleasurable experience. I know you do have to get over that thought of like, I am eating a raw egg in my beverage. But honestly, like once you get over that initial thing, that experience itself, then you're like, oh, this is fine.
Trish, I have a question. I need to get blood work done, but I just started a head cold. Should I wait to get the blood work drawn until fully healed, or does it not make much of a difference? Depends on what you're getting blood work done for. If you want to know what your overall health markers, I would probably wait. Um, if you have a cold, that's like an infection,
Sure.
right? You're sick. You're going to end up probably with elevated glucose and elevated inflammation markers.
And then
if you're only looking at, say, cholesterol, not going to really be as big of a deal. But if you want your overall health markers, I would wait until you're not sick.
Because on top of it, if you are taking anything that would, like an Advil or Tylenol because you feel miserable or some kind of over-the-counter medicine, that adds to it too. You know what I mean? It's going to change things.
Stephanie said, let your yogurt ferment longer, 11 hours or more for tang. A lot of it also depends with your yogurt on the tanginesses and what the cultures are.
Yeah.
I don't like super tangy yogurt. I like a very thick,
Greek,
smooth tasting yogurt that does not need any sweeteners or anything like that, which is one of the reasons that, I do like the cultures that they use in Fahe, and it's also, to me, easier and cheaper to do that than it is to buy regular yogurt cultures.
I agree with Trish. She's saying that the Instant Pot yogurt tastes like a bowl of thick whipped cream with no tang. Yeah, it's so delicious.
Now, that will change. So here's the thing about making yogurt. So you can take your yogurt, and now when that batch is over, you don't have to keep buying Fahe yogurt as the starter for the next batch. You can take 1 or 2 spoons from that batch to start your next batch, and you just keep doing that. The more you do that, you will begin to introduce tang because the cultures are changing. So I usually will do 3, maybe 4 batches from the original. So I started with Fahe and Fairlife milk. I'll make that batch. Then I'll use that batch to make the next batch. Then I'll use that batch to make the next batch. And then I will start over again.
Right.
Because then the taste does change. Carrie, what flavor electrolytes are you drinking? I'm drinking Groovy Grapefruit.
You're groovy.
Stephanie said, I've also stopped leaving it on my counter to strain, only fridge straining. Yeah, you can, yogurt, when you're straining it, you can strain it in the fridge or on the counter. There is no difference. I will say if you store it on your counter, it will get thicker faster and it will strain faster because it's at a room temperature, and therefore the cultures can help it to continue. Remember, you have live cultures, so they are always feeding. So you will end up losing less whey, and it will strain out faster, and it will get thicker if you strain it on your countertop for a few hours as opposed to putting it in the refrigerator, because just like anything cold, it's going to slow everything down.
I was in the pool.
Let's see. Yeah, she said, make sure you let it go unstrained in a fridge for 8 hours before straining. Yeah, we used to do that. We don't even do that anymore.
Sometimes it's like 2 days.
Yeah, no. She's saying, let it sit in the way before you strain it.
Oh,
We used to do that. We stopped that. We literally Instapot to strainer and we're done.
I miss our nut milk bags.
B-Dog, I'm trying carnivore for 90 days. I get my lag done when I'm at 60. I'm so excited that I've come this far for the first time. Yay. I miss my keto chow and I miss your yogurt.
Well, thank you. But what's nice is you know why you're doing this. Why are you going without these things? When we talk about elimination, we do not need to have eyes on what we are going to be deprived from. We can have eyes on what we are looking forward to experiencing. Even when we were on Triple E, of course, you missed your cheese, but when you're thinking about why am I foregoing this right now? Why am I changing things? Let me get excited, like B-Dog is saying, about what you are working toward, because that's exciting. If you only are like, hey, back there is all the fun when I wasn't going without stuff. I mean, we could do that right now. I'm not living on jelly donuts anymore. I'm going without high, sugared nonsense, right? And you can say, well, remember when we used to we used to have all that stuff and now I'm going without it. And I don't even think about it anymore because I'm always looking forward to what I can enjoy ever since I left that stuff in the dust.
Yeah, one more before we get off. Mary said community is great, but I get tired of lumping diabetes as one group. Type 1 and type 2 are totally different. Medicine and insulin is life-saving, but food is life-sustaining.
Sure.
I would agree. Here's it. I hate the fact that you have type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and people can, I have diabetes. There is a huge difference between type 1 and type 2. In my personal opinion, type 2 diabetes is preventable, and you can, I won't use the word curable because I don't want YouTube demonetizing me and coming after, but I would say, I think you can put type 2 diabetes in remission.
Very quickly.
Not type 1 diabetes. Type 1, I don't necessarily believe, again, I'm not a doctor or a nurse or a health practitioner, but I don't think that type 1 is as preventable, if at all, as type 2 diabetes, at least from the foods that you eat. Type 1 diabetics absolutely have to have insulin. That's a different issue than type 2 diabetes, being your body is having a problem like secrete with the insulin because you become first insulin resistant, and then your body just cannot keep that glucose down. It's also why I refuse to jump on the bandwagon of calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. Because though it's basically saying all sugar things are diabetes.
Right.
And I think that you're doing a disservice to type 1 diabetics.
I also think that, like Mary, pointing out community, I think it's very important for this reason because, you need to have those conversations with other people who have had your specific circumstance. It was always really kind of saddening to me that I felt like for a long time, people would talk about diabetes or like cholesterol, like reversal of like, health situation, like heart situations. It would be like heart healthy. And so with me, definitely we were heading towards type 2 diabetes for myself, and definitely there were heart issues and things like that. But my focus was mental health. And I felt like, gosh, there's nobody to celebrate with me my unique breakthrough. We're just kind of all lumped in with like a diabetes thing, right? Yeah. So my mom had people to celebrate with, but I felt like I didn't. And when we went to Keto Palooza, I was able to chat with a gal who had a similar mental health journey that I did. And I felt like, wow, I am so glad I showed up to a community event so that somebody could walk with me and we could talk about how we had a very unique experience, it seems like, and I had somebody that could share my circumstance, so that helped.
I did just see this from Cynthia before we get off. She said, Chris, instead of you use warm water, you don't have to wait the overnight because the warm water helps the vitamin taste. So yes, using warm water will help the vitamin taste, and it will help the again, just like anything else, right? Warm will help salt dissolve faster.
Right.
Okay, that's
that
why
makes sense.
right? So it will help the vitamins dissolve faster in your thing, but it still will not taste as good as if you wait overnight. And Chris will tell you the same thing. Keto chow you can drink keto chow right away.
Sure.
Some people, I don't notice the vitamin taste that some people notice drinking. I have literally made it and consumed it. I don't notice it. I know Chris, I think, doesn't notice it, but Miriam does, or it's the other way around. One of them notices it and one doesn't. I don't remember which way it is right now. But it will always taste better the next day or 2 days later because the flavors come through more, because it thickens up. Even when you use butter, it will always thicken up. It's like gelatin. It will thicken up, and it will always taste better the next day. So it is more drinkable 15 minutes after making it with warm water, but it's even better the next day. And if you're turning it into ice cream, when you freeze it, the flavor gets muted. So when you freeze it, you want the best flavors. Remember, when you put that in the freezer, that's going to stop. That flavor absorption is going to stop. So get it to its best possible point before you put it into the freezer.
Right.
And I think you'll be much happier that way. Okay, that's going to be the end of Keto Beyond the Couch. Again, we have a couple of vlogs coming out this week. We have the Keto Crate video coming out, a review video that we've done. So super excited, lots going on. We will be back live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
We love you guys.
Bye.